Hello and welcome to the Ask Dr. Ben podcast. I'm your host, Ben Johnson. As a holistic-minded physician, I've spent the last 20 years looking outside the box and conducting research to find the true causes of skin conditions and other diseases. And while the focus of my work has been on aesthetic medicine and unlocking the secrets to reversing skin damage, this podcast will also include many other exciting revelations pertaining to you and your family's health and well-being. So let's get started. Well, hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ask Dr. Ben, episode 1327. I wish, and I know you probably wish, because I know I've been hearing from you guys, well, why haven't you made podcasts in like a year? And the answer is it's Renee's fault.
It's not my fault.
No, the truth of the matter is it's a longer story, but we're here ready to drop some knowledge.
We're here to talk about the female perspective
Yeah?
on aging. So
What's the matter?
the subject matter are the top 5 challenges that females experience during the aging process, right? And so first and foremost, let's just
And by the way, this will be harder for me to speak to because I don't have this perspective. So this is really helpful to me. We're just going to do it on the fly. I'm not even sure what you're about to say.
Yeah, that's the best. You're always the best on the fly. And so, bringing this perspective, first of all, how lucky are we that we get to age? And, we all want to experience a graceful aging process. However, working in the treatment room and working with clients year over year, I hear kind of the same 5 concerns that come up. And the first one is weight gain around the belly. So as females are aging right around 35 and 40, a lot of them start to see weight gain around the midsection. So
Yeah.
enlighten us. What's going on? What's up with that?
Well, unfortunately, men have this problem too, it turns out. This one, it goes both sexes, but have this struggle. Listen, we live in a country, if you're from America, and we have a worldwide audience, so we really shouldn't limit it. But if you're lucky enough to not live in America, then you get a lot less poison. And the poison in our foods, the other name for the chemicals in our foods is called obesogens. And they are oftentimes estrogen-mimicking poisons that are in as food preservatives, they're in as pesticides, sometimes they're in as dyes and colorants, but it is unavoidable in our diet today unless you're out in an organic farm somewhere in the country and you cook your own food. And so I'm very frustrated by it, and I'm sure many women are frustrated by it because they work out really hard.
They work out really hard.
They eat narrow calorie counts and
I'll
can't
eat
get it.
salad. If I just have a salad for lunch every day for like a month, I should be able to see some shifts in weight loss.
So I'm going to say something controversial. I don't like salads as a diet choice. And it's so funny because I'll be teaching this in classes and we'll serve salad for lunch and everyone runs over to the salad bar. So apparently my words are not having a lot of impact, but I hope they impact you. And here's why. Does salad have a lot of nutrient value?
Well, some salads, a mixed bag of salad.
No,
but
I should say, does lettuce have a lot of nutrient value?
not a ton.
It's modest. Modest at best. It's modest. And all this lettuce that they're growing is pesticide full. How often do you come across an organic salad at a restaurant or when you're ordering out? Almost never. So that just means you're getting an almost nutrientless piece of green leafy stuff that honestly doesn't taste good without some sauce on it. Okay? You got to put some dressing on it. And it's just full of pesticides. And guess what those pesticides are going to do? While you're busy eating like a rabbit and hardly getting any calories, the pesticides are depositing in your belly fat. That is correct. The pesticides are being put. So when the body sees pesticides when you're younger, the liver's like, I got this. And it processes and removes. But the weaker your liver gets as you age, it looks at these poisons and it goes, ooh, I'm not handling this really well right now, especially because you just had a tequila sunrise at lunch. And I'm looking at you. No, I'm kidding. The liver's not doing well. and it will put these in the fat cells. Fat cells are like a storage safety container, and unfortunately, when it puts them in there, it fills them with a little bit of water to kind of keep them diluted so they're not super toxic. And they will not leave when you keep eating low calorie diet. They will eat with fasting. So this is somewhere where like a 3-day water fast might be a good way to really kind of get some of that belly fat gone, but they won't leave by eating a salad. And that's the funny part when she said that story, because I'm thinking, okay, you're not eating very many calories. Shouldn't this burn off? And it's like, no, because you're literally putting pesticides back in your body with that lettuce.
Well, and it makes sense because if you're aging and you're in that category of, late 30s and 40s, the liver's like, hey, I could use a little bit of support over here. I've been processing these types of toxins for a long time, and now the body starts to store those toxins, and then you see the
Yeah.
expansion in the waistline, and women do experience weight gain in other areas like their legs. Under the arms is probably a big one too.
It is. And listen, stubborn weight gain is one of the trickier ones. So we do focus a bit on metabolism. We have a product called Elevate that accelerates fat burning by 1.5 pounds a month by exciting your mitochondria and creating ATP. So that's one strategy. But again, that's not the detox strategy. That's where our skin defense and our regenerate
Yes.
come in. The regenerate to repair the liver so it processes those toxins better, the skin defense to bind and accelerate the removal of those toxins. And that is how you get down. And then I would recommend a little bit of fasting beyond just the 12, 18-hour fast. Every once in a while try to get in a few other fasts. So that's it. I know we don't want to go on too long,
Yeah,
but I
no,
think
and
that's a good start. Is belly fat is a tough
it's a
one.
good start, and I think to keep in mind, it's tough when your shift maybe you're like, "Okay, I wanna start taking better care of myself. I need to be mindful what I eat. I'll eat more green vegetables." And then
Right.
when they're not buying organic, then, it's so hard. Okay, you have to eat healthier. You have to eat more vegetables, but make sure it's organic so you don't have this exposure piece of it. And then you're trying to find supplements to boost metabolism, but you said it so perfectly, elevate, regenerate skin defense when taken in combination. How soon would you see results if you started taking all three?
Well, the way you do it is you take all three and do a 40-day water fast, and it's amazing how quickly it all goes down. No, I mean, you're looking at month by month, a few pounds that first month, I expect. The other thing I'll just quickly say is everyone focuses on cortisol as if we have some control over this brilliant component in our body, and the cortisol is the cause of belly fat. Cortisol is caused by inflammation. Inflammation is caused by the toxins we just talked about. And so it's really not cortisol to blame. It's the poisons that they're feeding us to blame, and that we should all be marching the streets of Washington D.C. to stop this pesticide
Absolutely.
insanity.
Are you ready for the next one?
If it's a good one, I am
It's
ready.
a good
Let's
one.
get
It's a good
started.
one.
Here we go.
Okay, so we talked about weight gain is one of the main challenging aspects of the female body. The next one is libido. So a lot of
Keto.
females losing their libido. Let's just partner libido and energy because it's kind of one and the same. I don't have as much energy as I used to. I'm overworked, I'm overtired. I feel like I get a lot of sleep, but I still wake up tired. So it's the loss of energy, which results sometimes in loss of libido.
There are a lot of things at play with libido. The first and obvious one is we all know that our hormones are dropping too fast, and that there's a misunderstanding about why that happens. The way we're supposed to age is our hormones are supposed to drop. Just in case you were wondering, and you went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Well, let's get a blood panel, a hormone panel, and your estrogen, testosterone were all way down low," and you're like, "Oh, I want the 20-year-old me. So let's put in enough of that stuff to get me back to that age." That's not where your body's meant to be. That's a cancer risk. It causes other side effects if you're taking those hormones. What you want is you want your body to age the way it was intended if you hadn't been poisoned. And again, I go back to these estrogen toxins and how they disrupt both men and women. If I could just say the word men in this video, so sorry, but we talked about libido. I got to involve men, right? So
All right, I'll allow.
but yeah, so when your balance is off, and it is truly a balance. I mean, obviously testosterone is a key driver, but it is amazing how influential estrogen and progesterone are in the whole process. So you want it to be balanced. How do you know what is the right balance for you and your body? We don't know. Your body knows, thank goodness. So the thing you have to do is you have to detox, again, skin defense, get those estrogen hormones out of your body and let your body start making more hormones. Now, what I've found lately, tragically, is a lot of women also need a jump start. So I'm putting a
Little
fair
bit.
number of them on DHEA. I'm putting some people on fenugreek seed to raise their free testosterone. So I'm adding some bonus stuff. Shatavari sometimes I'll put people on. So, and I don't make any of these, by the way. I'm just giving you some nuggets of things you can try.
It's just a booster. It's a temporary boost.
It's a booster.
Yeah, it's a temporary boost.
And so, and then of course you have hormone relief elixir that mimics your hormones. If you haven't tried our Osmosis hormone relief elixir, really nice, does a nice job. We hear a lot of people that helps their libido. And then we have Elevate, which,
Elevate, one of the best.
yeah,
Those adaptogens really help boost mood. The detoxing aspect of the B3 not only supports liver, but boosting on ATP and giving you natural energy. And something that I've always loved about osmosis supplements is they align with what the skin and body's already doing. We're just trying to bring in those nutrients to make up for deficits or help replenish the stock. And
yeah,
so sometimes females, whether they're, what I see at least, a lot of females are either not eating enough food or actually have a really high fat diet. And so, naturally females like, yogurt,
but what do you say?
pastes. And so what I'm saying is,
What do you think with the high fat diet? What is
uh,
that? How's that hurting their libido?
well, no, I'm not saying it's necessarily hurting their libido is the point I'm getting to, is that, you see these imbalances. I'm not eating enough, or when I do eat, I'm eating only fats. And I think there's this level of not getting enough nutrients. And so I witnessed it over time. Well, you're not eating a balanced diet. Of course, you're going to have lack of energy. You're eating foods that have all these preservatives and pesticides. Of course, you're going to experience those deficits or the losses because of these different types of foods. And so providing a level of information on these are the right supplements. It's about balance. It's a balanced diet. You can't starve your way into a smaller pair of jeans, and of course you're going to have energy losses if you're not refueling yourself.
That's a great point. And I think part of, what's happening today is the GLP-1s
Uh,
and their impact on how people eat, and of course how they poison the gut, and they cause you to get two-thirds of the weight you lose is muscle as opposed to fat, so everyone's getting flabby. And I think that can make your libido go down. When you don't feel attractive, your libido goes down. Now they might argue, well, I feel attractive because I'm weighing 20 pounds less than I used to, so maybe there's a slight plus minus there, but I still think,
well, and also in the feminine wellness category, sometimes, you get older, you're maybe a little bit of self-conscious. And then
yeah,
that self-consciousness turns into anxiety, turn into stress, and then you develop avoidant behavior patterns. And then that just adds fuel to the fire. So just kind of the great opportunity in this podcast is to normalize those feelings. We recognize it happens. It's okay that it's happening, but even better, we have solutions.
yeah, and I think libido, speaking from personal experience, sometimes we wait a little too late to go to bed, right? And then that year you go to bed tired. Like we're, I think it's just important to give that a lot of attention, because it's one of the tougher things with a mature relationship. If you're well in your years in your marriage, that it takes effort. And so, you have to think of good strategies.
Yeah, you have to be intentional to keep the flames going.
And buy him the five love languages book. Make sure you circle the ones that are yours. And maybe he says a nice thing or two to you every day.
So our solutions for boosting energy and libido, we've got Elevate, we've got Skin Defense. You talked about hormone relief,
Relief elixir.
ageless vitality in the mix,
Less so for this one. Yeah, I was.
emotional well-being in the mix.
Now there, emotional well-being is amazing. If you, especially, if past sexual trauma is affecting your libido, emotional well-being is amazing. You know, I didn't think my girlfriend needed an emotional well-being, and she probably won't like I'm telling the story. But so she was taking it because I was relating to something else that was going on, a stress-related thing she was having. And she had good cries. And I just love it when people get on emotional well-being and they have these sort of purging, healthy cries that get out old trauma. It sounds crazy, but try it and see. It's
Well, and
a really
sometimes you kind of have to like mourn the loss of your younger years. As a mom, the older my kids get, you kind of think, well, what is my place? What is my value? My kids don't need me the same. And then, it just kind of changes the way you see yourself in the world. And that those types of thoughts, we normalize those thoughts. You might get to a certain age where like I just, you naturally lose interest and you don't even realize it until it becomes an issue. So we've got great solutions.
I love it. What's number 3?
Number three is loss of fat pads, loss of volume in the face,
Mm.
a sunken face, loss of elasticity. We can kind of partner maybe loss of moisture, loss of suppleness, and just, really experiencing depleted fat pads.
I just want you to know that Renee is giving these classes on female specific. Well, what do you actually call it? Like
Feminine wellness.
feminine wellness, which immediately goes to a category that I'm probably less comfortable talking about than she is. And so everything always has to add that. Oh, we're talking about fat pads. Why don't we just throw moisture into the picture? And of course you want to do that. No, it is interesting, and you could talk about the certain fat pads that disappear.
Well,
Fat pads disappear from everywhere, as
yeah,
she was telling
not
me.
just in the face.
I didn't know this. This was a fascinating. Do you want to go ahead and say that?
Well, I think as a female and with this female voice, we kind of don't like to talk about, the intimate aspect of aging. Now, if you're with your esthetician, and especially if that esthetician is doing some hair removal, maybe a bikini wax, maybe a Brazilian sugar, I know there's a lot of different ways to remove hair, those conversations might come up. And I feel like if we talk about it, it helps people, especially the females, feel a little bit more validated. And we do see a decline in fat pads in the breast area, the buttocks area, in the intimate skin health area. And that can also affect
But go ahead. What?
that can also, that can affect just the way you visualize your body during intimate moments.
I,
Gives you a little bit
I
of
feel like you were overly
self-confidence.
artful there, but okay, we'll go with it. All right,
Overly
let's
artful.
talk about fat pads.
It's
Remember
true.
the number one thing about fat pads, like you could be clever. I'm like, maybe we should close the curtains, huh? Little hints.
We're talking about fat losses in the face,
Yeah.
breast tissue, buttocks, and vaginal areas. You
Yeah.
see it decline. And
But how
so,
does fat loss show in the vaginal area?
well, you start to see loss of elasticity and you just kind of start to see things fall. It's not as supple, it's not as youthful looking. And so,
I would argue you see more, is what I was.
well, no,
Okay.
you just see it, it just looks different. It's not the youthful body you're used to. And it's a slow progression, right? Because
Yeah.
we don't spend a lot of time, walking around with our pants off. We're modest
Well,
people.
half the country
And
does.
so,
I would argue that half
so
the country
because
does.
we're modest, it's not something we really notice until all of a sudden there's a change and you think, what happened to my younger body? Why am I, suddenly experiencing changes in this area? And I think it first starts with, gray hairs and things like that. But it's one of those
Well, let's get to the
concerns.
meat of the matter. Let's
Let's
get to
get
it.
to it.
So, how do fat pads get declined? Now, first of all, there's two kinds of fat in your body. Well, I want to describe it to you in this way. There's two kinds of fat. You have your subcutaneous fat. This is the fat right below your skin. This is the fat we generally try to hate on because it's the loose fat. When you gain weight, if you eat like 10 pizzas, that's the fat that gets bigger. But underneath that fat, kind of near the muscle, is something called your structural fat pads. These are pockets of fat. They're very specifically laid out, I think designed by God himself. And so they're all over the forehead, face, they're actually in your eyelids, they're around your mouth, they're on your neck, they're in your you're in your bicep region, and that's what causes the jiggle jaggle when you get older because you're losing the volume there. They're in your thigh. But again, not the loose fat in the thigh, but the thigh volume thigh. You know how you see sometimes 80, 90-year-old people walking around, you're like, man, they're just so tiny. It's because they haven't just lost muscle mass, they've lost fat pad mass in their extremities, buttocks, as Renee said, and all that. So this structural fat pad is the beauty fat that we all crave. And believe it or not, it's primarily made up of a different type of fat, fatty acids that are more in line with omegas. So omegas are the secret, but you get to your little omega bottle and you take your 1 or 2 gel caps out every day and you think that makes up for it. It's not going to make up for it. Our protocol 14
Not
gel
enough.
caps. 14 gel caps a day, twice a day for 3.5 months to restore your fat pads. So it's a lot, but it's so worth it because this is a fat pad that's been declining over the years, as Renee said. So what are the causes? Smoking, hard alcohol, oxidized sugar, chemotherapy, and then really being really thin. So all these people who are running around at 14 to 16% body fat and they go out for a jog every day or they go play around at tennis, they don't realize that your body is always doing an instant assessment going, where's my fuel source today? Where's my fuel source? And if you're super low body fat, it's not going to take from the fuel source in your subcutaneous fat. It's going to take from your structural fat. And so this is happening in a rapid way. I see it everywhere. It happens to pregnant women. Pregnant women, they lose about a size in their breast and their bottom sags a little bit after pregnancy typically. That's all structural fat pad. It doesn't have anything to do with where the baby was and all that. So knowing this, even you can be overweight and still have these low fat pads. And that's why you'll see men and women who are 60, 80 pounds overweight, but they still have a lot of wrinkles. 80% of the wrinkle in your face is caused by volume loss, deep volume loss, and not collagen loss. 80%. 20% of your wrinkle is collagen because it's this tiny little layer in your skin. Your fat pads are like this big and your collagen is this big. So you can see why that would be true. So we invented a supplement.
And I think something else, to just kind of add to this whole omega conversation, that nutrient doesn't come by easy. And so having it in supplement form is such a wonderful way to introduce all your omegas. 'Cause let's talk about sea buckthorn and how
Yeah.
you've got omega 3, 6, 7, and 9, different varieties of omegas that the body doesn't produce. We have to source it out. Your fish oils may not be doing the trick, and
Yeah.
they also
No,
might be
they're
compromised.
not. Fish oils will not refill your fat pads. I actually I'm fighting in the patent office right now over this particular formula because we require very specific ratios of specific sections of fatty acids, and that is how we determine this formula. And so, sea buckthorn, amazing, amazing for the gut. It's our prebiotic. You don't get fat on this fat, is what I'm telling you.
No.
It is utilized by the body because it's such a superfood, and you do gain maybe 3 pounds when you do the fat pad protocol because you've restored the volume in these places, but you don't gain it in your belly, for example. Uh,
And you can't get attached to the number on the scale. You've gotta remove that whole, "Oh, the scale shows this." If you really wanna see changes in the body, take your measurements, and like you said, you're
yeah,
adding volume to the structural fat. Just like when you're exercising and, a lot of women are like, "I need to lift weights. I need to lift more weight," and then they don't see the scale budge. They actually see it go up. Well, because muscle weighs more than fat.
yeah.
So there's just a lot of myths out there. Don't be shy. Let's hear the solution for
Solution
that fat
is
restoration.
recovery, our prebiotic fat pad oil, a tablespoon in the morning and the evening for approximately 3.5 to 4 months. And unless you're that last person I described that is super lean and exercising hard, it stays like it's repopulated for a long time. And so we encourage you to try that out because right now there's a hate on fillers, and rightfully so. Fillers are uneven and weird looking and lumpy and bizarro world. All you have to do is look at that one picture of, oh, let me think of his name. Who's the guy from the remake of the beach movie? Oh my gosh, how can I not think of his name?
I'm lost.
You totally lost.
Sorry.
He came out with huge, super huge lips. You know what I'm talking about?
I know.
Okay.
I don't know what
Well,
you're talking about.
that
There's
people are messing themselves up,
Yeah.
and luckily filler is on its way down in popularity. Recovery's on its way up. So if you haven't heard about this, check it out.
And the other great part about recovery is that it works to also help to support your microbiome. Happy gut, boosting serotonin, feel goods. It's going to make you
Feel
feel
good.
better.
You look in the mirror, you look better, you're feeling good. Next thing you know, we're hitting libido.
That's
We're
right.
hitting libido.
And
It's time.
if you're thinking, well, I'm losing fat pad structure, I also feel chronically dry. I'm telling you, recovery is going to increase moisture properties in the body.
Oh,
You're going to feel even more hydrated by
moisture everywhere is what I would remind you about recovery. And eyes, dry eyes, treated with recovery, full stop every time. All right, what's
All right,
number
number 4.
four?
You ready for it?
Yeah.
Stretch marks. A lot of women experience stretch marks. Yes. Not
But not older women.
Yes, they do. Not just from, childbirth, but you see stretch marks on the arms, you see it on the inner thighs, you see it in the breast area. And yes, sometimes they don't surface until later, especially if you're gaining weight. You might see some stretch marks around the stomach, but it is a major concern. Yes,
Well,
marks.
you picked a tricky one, Renee. Okay, I was gonna say, well, I'm gonna just give you our protocol. Here's the bottom line. Stretch mark is basically a little valley of healthy tissue. So the healthy tissue sort of divides out, and then this really rugged sort of scar tissue fills in. And so as a result of that, the best treatment is probably done by a professional. And we do have osmosis professionals trained in this. You can go to our sister website, Extract,
Yeah, I was going to say extract.
tract.com, and you'll see some of the procedures they do. If you want to get more aggressive with your procedures, if you have it really bad, this is highly advised. But the products we use are Catalyst, Renew.
Skin defense for stretch marks?
So now she's talking about skin stretch mark prevention. So one of the things I learned over time was if you go into pregnancy estrogen toxic, the imbalance of your estrogen, even though it was good enough to get you pregnant, it was not good enough to keep your skin healthy during the end stages of pregnancy. And you end up having more stretch marks if you're estrogen toxic on the way in. So if you're thinking about getting pregnant, get on skin defense for 3, 6 months. I take it every day because the world's toxic and you should anyway. But I'm saying specifically try to avoid highly preserved foods during your pre-pregnancy time and during pregnancy, by the way. And so maybe we should cover those. I don't know if we have enough time, but let me hit it real quick. The number one cause of estrogen food preservatives that can lead to stretch marks during pregnancy: frozen food, organic or not, all frozen food, fast food, all kinds, every kind, prepared meal plans, and snack foods like potato chips that we just ate for lunch. Let's go. Okay. So,
So
uh,
there's that. So
yeah,
stretch marks. And hey, maybe more women are coming forward.
and
My
pesticides.
stretch marks are bothering me. Maybe it's because their fat pad losses are creating some shifts in the skin, and that's why they're noticing it more. So I would say it's stretch marks, but it's also, let's lump this into number 4 as like a partnership: stretch marks and varicose veins. A lot of women are seeing, varicose veins or just veins pop up in,
Same.
legs, inner thighs, arms. I think that's something else that those skin changes that maybe you didn't experience in your younger years, and now suddenly you're like, what are all these spider veins or varicose veins? Why do I have all these
But
stretch marks?
But let me differentiate though. So I believe that, can we just call that number one then?
Number 1. We're on number 4.
I know, number five, because
No, we got a good one for number 5. We're gonna love it.
okay, well, we're running out of time. So let me just say this. Varicose veins do immune defense, 4 doses, and put rescue on topically. It is an infection. Varicose veins are an infection of the vein. So 4 doses of immune defense. You can look up how to take immune defense, osmosis immune defense, and then rescue topically. That helps the painful ones. Watch and see. It's an inflammatory reaction for a reason. Now, spider veins are a different animal, and that has more to do with arterial blood pressure. So basically, if you have a lot of belly fat, or if you're, you have a lot of pressure and you stand on your feet all day and you're kind of putting pressure, so you're more likely to get it if you're a nurse or you're in a stand-up job, or you're standing behind the camera standing up, you can see these blood vessels sort of extending out as part of this pressure. And so I don't really have a great treatment for it other than to tell people do number one of our discussion,
Number one.
and that'll help.
And I think for what it's worth, all the ladies are out there saying, yes, girl, it's those things. So I'm just speaking
Yeah,
on behalf
they're all
of
high-fiving you right now?
They're all high-fiving me.
I would
Speaking the truth.
list.
Varicose veins, spider veins, stretch marks, loss of fat, energy, libido. The number one, we're talking about collagen.
What?
The number five.
Number
You
one.
ready for it?
Is it number 5 mean it's the most important or the least important?
Number five's the least. Number one was the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Most important, then, right? We can all agree as females.
Well, that works on with hot flashes and stuff, but okay, go ahead.
No. The last one might
See
be
that I know.
the last one might be surprising to you, but
Yes?
it's not to the ladies.
Yeah?
Are you ready for it?
I don't know.
Body odor.
What?
As women are aging, they're experiencing smelly body odor. Armpit smells that they never experienced their whole life. So
What?
yes,
Are you
females
getting this feedback? Are you getting emails or what?
I'm having normal female conversations with all ladies, and I'm getting older. I'm experiencing some shifts. It's so weird. I suddenly now have the smelliest body odor I didn't used to. What's happening? Am I detoxing? Did I eat something weird? Am I gross? So let's just normalize that. Yes, body odor happens, but why do you think the intensity is getting worse because of aging, Dr. Ben?
Whew, that's interesting. So I didn't know this. And are you referring to odors from various sources?
No, I'm just
Like
more
the underarms?
speaking to
Just
underarms. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was going to go down a whole BV conversation.
Yeah, no,
No.
we could save that for another
Well,
podcast.
lucky you guys. So body odor is a twofold situation. It is a microbiome change because believe it or not, you got a whole bunch of bugs going on in the underarms. And so that has to do with a shift due to exposure, and it's a detox. And so I think what's happening to people is we're just having what's called epigenetic shifts. Remember, this is where your normal bacteria change their behavior, and now they become smelly bacteria, and the weird foods we're eating and all of that. So I would argue that I think, and so because you just have to know, not many people are coming to me with this. I mean, I noticed when I sat down. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my
That was a joke, everyone. That is not true. So, yeah, I think I always think of it as a detox, but there's an interesting strategy. So what I'm going to do for everybody is I'm going to put a little attention and see if an immune defense protocol makes sense.
Okay.
And then, of course, I think recovery because you want to get your microbiome right.
Lovely. There is another product I'm thinking of, and that is immune activator topically. So you can take a dropper full of immune activator, massage it into your underarms, let it rest, and then before you're getting ready to leave the house, then you would apply your natural deodorant, and it helps. It helps to neutralize smells.
I
It
love that.
helps to
And that speaks to this weird
Yeah.
bacteria that might be growing there.
Right. So if you're someone that doesn't wear deodorant, you can, appreciate the value of immune activator under the arms. But if you are someone who's committed to deodorant, just make sure you apply the immune activator on first, let it rest, and then you can apply your deodorant. And I find that it helps with sweating, excessive sweating. It helps with odors. It helps to, neutralize the smells. It's wonderful.
Well, and thank you for helping me understand women better today. I feel like I have I have so much more insight into the
Right.
female psyche now. I know
More
that
compassion.
every woman walking by me is thinking about things I never knew about.
Absolutely, they are.
So we hope we helped you today. This is the Renee and Ben Show, also known as hashtag Ask Dr. Ben. We'll see you next time. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Ask Dr. Ben. Please leave a review if you can, and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts to get access to all of my upcoming episodes. My website is osmosisbeauty.com, and you can find me on Facebook at Osmosis Beauty. And you can also follow me on Instagram at osmosis_beauty. Thanks for listening.